Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. And I'll tell you why, because I was born in Ann Arbor. And yes, and I grew up, I'm a Michigander. To this day, I say I am, because I like saying it, because it's so weird. But but I am a Michigander. And I lived in Detroit briefly, and I have dear family who happen to be here, my dear cousin Julie and her husband Dave, who are in seats of honor because they are amazing. And then I grew up in Grand Rapids, and then my dad, who worked for IBM, which stood for I've Been Moved, started moving us all over the place. But I love being here, and to see this glorious spring day, and to have you here on this glorious spring day is just amazing to me. I'm always kind of shocked when anyone shows up. When I first started writing, my husband and I used to we'd do an over-under on how few people would show up. So it's really lovely to see. I mean, it's Friday, and you could be just vegging out in front of the TV. So this is pretty wonderful to see all these book lovers. And we don't have that much time. Sometimes these run. I did one the other night and ran till 10, and I know you have lives to lead. So I'm going to try to keep it really short, because we have books to sign, I know, and that's important. But I will tell you just a little bit about writing and life and this particular book as quickly as I can. I used this presentation. I was lucky enough to go to 2 Ann Arbor schools today, and the kids were so adorable and, of course, brilliant and engaged. And it was because they're Michiganders. So I have written a zillion books, and literally well over 150, and I've honestly lost count. And that, I know that sounds strange, but it's because I was a ghostwriter. And a ghostwriter does not have her name on a lot of books, because I was chicken to start writing. And so I wrote, well, I'll show you in a minute. You'll be shocked. POV is very important. Point of view. And when I'm talking to kids about writing, I want them to know that point of view is so much fun, because it's how you decide who's telling your stories. And I have been a cat. I have been multiple dogs. You have no idea how many dogs I've been. I have been Ivan the gorilla. I have been a fruit bat. I have been, I love being an otter. It was just the best. They are so fun. I have been a red-tailed hawk. I have been, so there's always this certain demographic that I look for. And there you are. And you're always together, like a gaggle of Annie fans. I was at a store a while back, and I mentioned that a lot of Animorphs fans have Annie tattoos, which is really cool. These are people who are quite old, and they used to read a book series that my husband and I wrote called Animorphs. It's about kids who can turn into animals. It's still a graphic novel now, and Disney Plus just bought it up. And Ryan, you know who's going to do it? It's cool. Ryan Coogler, who did Sinners and Black Panther, his production company and his main producer was a huge Annie fan. So it might be okay. I don't know. We have nothing to do with it, as always. So. But anyway, these people show up, and this guy shows up, and I said, a lot of them, they name their babies Tobias, I had a guy drive 7 hours to show me his dog named Tobias. And a lot of them have tattoos. So this guy stood up in a room just like this, full of children, and he took his shirt off, and his whole body was covered with Annie tattoos. So these Annie fans are the best. They are always, it's a self-selecting group of amazing human beings. So, and I take full credit. But so I have also been a cow. I wrote a book set in Minneapolis about a Sudanese refugee, and I wanted to do my research, and that refugee had a cow. I knew nothing about cows, but it turns out in Minneapolis you can rent cows by the hour. So I have been many, many horses along the way. But this is my dirty little secret. I started out writing, I said I was chicken. I was afraid to write. I got a degree in English, good idea. And then I was terrified that I would fail. So I became a ghostwriter, and a ghostwriter doesn't have her name on the book. So I have been Goofy and Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse and Aladdin and Little Mermaid. And women of a certain age will remember Sweet Valley. Oh, no, that's sad. Do you remember who the evil twin was? the bad twin. No, it was Jessica, duh. So 17 of those I wrote. So to get my feet wet so I could write actual books. So I've actually been the POV, the point of view, the narrator for books where I made creatures up. And kids, this is the best idea for writing. This is a humming bear. Hold your hands out, kids. Imagine a teeny tiny little polar bear there, and then it's got wings on it, like a hummingbird. And it is flying around and being adorable, and it makes bubble nests at night that glow. And that is what a hummingbird is. So what's an animal you like? Like anything. It could be anything. Rabbits. What's an animal you like? Pandas. Oh, this would be such a cute animal. So mush together a panda and a rabbit, and we've created a new species. And what would we call it? A panbit? I don't know. We're going to work that. Randa? I don't know. We got to think on that. What's it look like? You got to draw it, right? You can't just imagine it. You have to actually draw it. You want to see it. And then you have to decide who its predators are. Who eats it? What does it eat? Where does it live? You go on and on and on and on. And pretty soon you've created an entire fantasy world, which is such a fun thing to do when you're a writer. So I recommend that highly as a little writing exercise. And I have done that with lots of animals, including this one. Some will recognize. Can you guess which series that one's from? I have also been a tree. And I was a tree, and I will tell you this briefly in a minute because I was really mad and I was writing a book just in a fury, and I wanted to talk about a whole community over a long period of time, and I thought, who could do that better than a red oak tree that's lived for 200 years? So you would think with a book called Wombat Waiting that this would be a book about a wombat. But it's not. It's about a dog who looks a lot like a wombat. And wombat is a rescue dog, you would think, because she's on the road a lot, but she's not initially. I like to think of her more as a destiny dog. Do any of you have rescue dogs, or do you like dogs? Anybody? Any dog people in the room? I love dogs. This is Astrid, one of my rescue dogs. She was found on the streets of Los Angeles, and somebody had broken her neck. She was only 3 months old. And it was heartbreaking. They were going to put her to sleep, but then they decided maybe to see if they could keep her going. And I was allowed to adopt her, but I couldn't let her have any dog friends. And she was miserable. So we went back to the surgeon. We said, what if we get her a rescue dog, a little tiny rescue dog? And that begat Boss. And if you've read The One and Only Ivan, you know that Ivan's best friend Bob has a sister named Boss, hence the name. And oh, is she bossy. But they do very well together. But Wombat is a little different. Wombat is what I like to call a destiny dog. And a destiny dog, that's the dog that shows up on your doorstep or maybe follows you home from school. And suddenly you just know that that dog is going to be a part of your life. This is the epigraph to the book. It says, dogs have a way of finding the people who need them, filling in emptiness we don't even know we have. And I think that's so true. Even people who don't like dogs often find that they need dogs once they have them. So I'm going to stop here because I want to do some questions quickly, but I wanted to tell you my theory of writing books when you're mad. I have, kids always ask, where do you get your ideas? And it could be anything, of course. And I always have plenty of ideas, but I think the best books happen when you are really mad about something. So I was furious when I read about Ivan the gorilla. Some of you know his story, this gorilla who was trapped in a mall for 27 years. And I was mad when I read about all the endangered species we're losing at an unprecedented rate, because guess whose fault it is? Us. And that's why I wrote Otter. And Wish Tree was my mad of all mad books. I read a story, I think it was, I want to say Iowa, Kansas, and it was a few years ago. I said, imagine this, you're getting ready to go to school, and you're from very, very, very far away, and it's your first day, and you have your backpack, and you have your sneakers, and you're so excited, and you open up the door, and the school bus is waiting, and on the door there is a sign that says, go away. That really happened, only it was a much meaner sign. And I read about this family, and I was so sad and so mad that I wrote Wish Tree in a flurry, like in a month or two. And I wanted to talk about community and kindness and how we should embrace each other and how we should embrace diversity. And it was so gratifying to write. But what's been even more gratifying is that people use it a lot in schools. And they will have wish trees at the end. Sometimes they're outside, sometimes they're inside. If it's February in Michigan, they're inside. And kids will make wishes. And I always tell them to make a wish for themselves, which is easy, of course, because we all know all the things we want. And then a wish for someone they love. And then a wish for the world. And you would be just astounded at how profound those wishes are and how incredibly kind and open-minded kids are. And when I am traveling, I am always come away feeling better. The other day I was at a school and I was talking about climate change, and this kid said, and he was 7 years old, and he raised his hand. I thought he had a question, but he wanted to explain climate change to me. And it took about 2 minutes, but he was so articulate, and he had it exactly right. And I thought, I honestly started crying. I just was like, okay, we're going to be okay. We've got this. And so when I see all these beautiful faces, I feel that way too. So let's do just a handful of questions and maybe even some answers. I was at a school quite recently, and the principal said, you cannot ask anything that's a standard author question. So a 7-year-old asked me my financial net worth. And then and then another kid asked me my internet service provider. So it's Verizon, in case you care. Yes, you had a question.
And now, please ask the question in the mic so we can hear you.
You were both there? I'm telling you, this is the best school. But that's my least favorite question on the planet.
And can you repeat the question for us so we can hear you over the mic?
Yes, of course. What is my favorite book to write? And the reason I say that, everybody asks it. I'm just kidding, because it is a really good question. But would you ask your mom and dad who their favorite kid was? Okay. Your books are like your best friends, and they're like your kids, and imperfect, but you love them so much. So I really have a hard time with that one. I do like books that were based on real things. And so Ivan or Home of the Brave, books like that had the catalyst for the story was something real. I wrote a book recently that I really like called Pocket Bear. And it was, well, not quite up to the Animorphs response, but but there were these little tiny 3.5-inch bears made during World War I. This is so poignant. And they were created for soldiers who were heading off to the trenches. World War I was a horrible war. All wars are horrible, of course. And they fit in the soldier's pocket, and the bear's eyes were a little bit higher up on their head. So when you looked down in the middle of war, you would see this little bear looking back up at you, and you would think of home and hope and survival. And I just thought that was so poignant that I wrapped a whole book around it. So that, again, it was based on a little tiny bit of something that was true, and I think maybe those are my favorite books. Good question, actually. Yeah. To read or to write? Oh, fiction, but I do like poetry. And I read a lot of nonfiction because I'm fascinated by animals. And when my husband and I wrote Animorphs ages ago, we start doing a wave or something. We did not have this thing called the internet. And so we had just stacks of books all over because we had to learn about species very quickly. We wrote those books in 4 weeks. Remember Babysitter's Club and Goosebumps, and they were all once a month. And so we drank a lot of coffee. We had a brand new baby, and we were tired. But as a result, I wasn't able to really, deep dive into research. So now I love when I have time to read nonfiction about animals with a little more leisurely pace. Yeah.
First of all, obviously I've been a fan of you for 100 years.
Oh, God, thanks.
Something that I've noticed about your writing all the way back from Animorphs, we've read so many of your books, the new ones, the
you.
I was so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
But the way you can just put stuff, like, some of that book only has a sentence on the page. And the amount that we can feel, and we're grown women. And we just,
Well, arguably.
such little words. So, like, there's prosy writing out there that's supposed to be, like, the best things you've ever read. But, like, I find how concise you are to be, like, one of the best things about you, right?
Oh, that's very kind. Oh. I think I'm lazy. I really like short sentences. I should tell you kids this before we start signing books. When I was your age, I always ask at schools, I have the parents and teachers and librarians cover their ears, but I'll give you a pass. I really, really hated to read. And I feel terrible saying that because most authors, they were reading in utero, but I was not that kid. I just thought it was boring. Have you ever felt that way? Were any of you dragged here against your will? I didn't get it. And then my third grade teacher, Mrs. Gray, at Breton Downs in Grand Rapids, Michigan, read Charlotte's Web to the class. And it was about animals. I loved animals. And I went, wait a minute. I get this. This is pretty cool. I was reading about talking animals. So you got to find that book for yourself. And it doesn't have to be Charlotte's Web. You're wrong, but it doesn't have to be Charlotte's Web. I'm just kidding. And it doesn't have to be any of my books. Maybe you like graphic novels. Maybe you like nonfiction. Maybe you like poetry. I happen to love Dogman. Does anyone like Dogman? It's a funny graphic novel. A series. You gotta find the right book, and you do that by coming here to this magnificent library, which has welcomed all of us this evening so kindly. And you talk to your teachers and librarians and your moms and dads and your friends, but your best friend book might not be the same book that your friends like. So remember that, because there's a book out there that's gonna change your life. Let's do one more question from a kid maybe, and then I have one more thing I want to tell you. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good question, because do you know when I became an official writer? In 4th grade. I was 9 years old. I did not publish this book. Publish is, when it's a book you can find at the bookstore or the library. I wrote a story about a wild pig named Alice, which is my middle name. And this was when I didn't even like to read. And I remember it to this day, and that is the day that I became a writer. So how many of you have ever written a story? Or maybe told a story to somebody, or maybe you've drawn a story. Anybody? Look at all those hands. You're doing my job, people. That's what I do. You're writers. You are all writers. You're storytellers. And so that is the very first story I wrote. When I got older, the first book I actually published was what we call a Harlequin romance. And I thought it would be, no need to laugh that loud. It was, these are grown-up books where there's lots of kissing and hugging. And I thought it'd be really easy to write. And, there are fantastic romances out there, trust me, and romance writers, but I was so not one of them. And to this day, I will not tell anyone the titles or my pseudonym. No. I'm taking it to my grave. So I have just one more thing I want to tell you, because I know we need to sign some books. Every school visit I do, I tell kids one thing. You don't have to remember anything except this. Being weird is wonderful. I know so many creative people who are artists. I know directors. I know musicians. I know poets. I know so many writers, and to a person, we are weird. And I mean that in the best possible way, because when you're weird, you look at the world differently, and you see things that other people don't see, and that's how you create magic. So as you get a little bit older, everybody is going to want you to be just like everybody else. Do not be just like everybody else. That's boring. You don't want to be boring. You want to be you, and what is inside of you is magical, and sometimes it's a little bit different from other people. So remember that and hang on to that, because that is how the most beautiful, beautiful things happen. Thank you so much. Give yourselves an enormous round of applause.